gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. You know, I always wanted to say that because this is Draped in Gold, and I, like Dave Massive, have a brand new Cruiserweight, y'all. Flobo Boyce, thank you so much for checking out this show. We go through all the happenings in NXT UK and NXT Classic Prime America, but I gotta say, I am not alone. My co-host is not above cheating to win like Nina Samuels in her match. Give it up for the man himself, Jack Farmer.
How dare you speak that way about her after she got a perfectly clean win today in the midst of Brookside trying to steal her luggage mid-match? I thought it was amazing. She did a great job.
Man, her objects were so foreign, they were wheeled to ringside. But it's not about that. We have a special guest today, and I have my prepared statement here. My guest today is a scholar, gentleman, and a man about town. You may see him working with Nike Brazil or Bellator MMA, but he is not only the host of the People I Want to Be Friends With podcast, but the voice of NXT UK. Give it up for Mr. Andy Shepard.
Oh, you guys. Wow.
You know, I was practicing that. I was kind of nervous. I'll get that messed up. That's why I'll make sure I wrote it down. How's it going?
It's good, man. Like, hey, guys, thank you for having me on. By the way, this is slick. You guys are smooth. This is amazing. Thanks for having me on. And Jack, that's a pretty tidy suit there. Is that Robert Stone's tailor?
Yeah. You know, I'm still trying to get the number from his guy. I wanted to dress up really nice though because I knew you were coming on. And look, Andy, I'll be honest. You're a good-looking guy. You're a professional. You're talented, and I never get to work with people like that on this show. So.
Hey!
Wow.
We're out of time, guys. We'll see you next week on.
What a shame. Well, I thought I'm wearing a hoodie. It's one of the few times you've probably seen me without a shirt untied. So right now, Jack, hey man, you're still in the show. And if you want that Taylor's number, I know a man who knows that man. I'll give little Robert a little.
He's connected. What? Granted, I didn't get the offer though. He's already wearing the suit, but I did not get the offer. As we say, a shout out to everyone in the chat right now, piling in on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. If you have questions for our guests today, please put them in the chat. We'll definitely ask them as we go forward. But here's a question I want to know off the top, Andy. You've got to let me know this. I want to say the reboot of NXT UK has been monumental. The production is nice. It is future forward. How has it worked for you from your side of perspective? Did you somehow find a way to introduce this brand to a whole new generation of fans?
It's the reboot of BT Sport. It's been amazing. Like when the lockdown obviously happened, there was so many challenges. You know, not just for our brand, for everyone in the entire world. So there's a lot of exploring how we can make things work. And of course, before this, we were touring around the country, going to these beautiful venues. But BT Sport over here in the UK are our partners. They're amazing partners. And actually, when we moved to BT Sport at the start of last year, we had an event there. And we all walked into the BT Sport studios and thought, we've got to do a show here one day. We'd love to come here. And look, you know, with all the challenges of lockdown, BT Sport was the obvious choice. And you guys have seen it. The technology we've got there, all the screens and stuff, it looks amazing. So there's a lot of technical challenges. Obviously, Nigel McGuinness and me aren't directly together. I don't think that's any secret. It's been well documented. I'm actually on a booth 5 floors above the BT Sports studios, hooked into a load of tech. Nigel's where Nigel's at. We're doing stuff together. So it's a unique situation. But again, it's a credit to everyone who works, you know, not only at BT and at WWE, but everyone else they brought in to help this. That they're making this thing work, man.
I thought he was in England for the longest time. Until I saw him in NXT, I was like, oh. Are there 2 of them?
Nigel gets around. He's a man of the world.
The magic of TV still always blows my mind when I figure out that kind of stuff. That, wow, he actually isn't there. They're in different places. But speaking of the shutdown and the reboot, in a way, it was really good for me because, honestly, I didn't really jump onto the NXT UK train until after the reboot. And it was such a perfect kind of jumping on point, I think, for a lot of people. And I've been blown away by NXT UK. I'll be honest with you. I'm a quintessential American. And when I hear about other countries doing things, I'm like, well, it's not quite the way we do it. But then I watched NXT UK and I absolutely fell in love with it. It is, people always talk about alternatives in wrestling, and there's nothing like NXT UK out there on network TV right now. And I've loved it, and it's so different. And my question to you is, is being different and sort of standing out something you guys strive for, or is it something that just sort of naturally happens with the talent you guys have and the team you're working with?
I don't know if they strive to be different per se. It's just this is what the British wrestling industry is. This is NXT UK. The reason we got this brand was because there was this. There's always been a history in the United Kingdom of pro wrestling. For decades and decades, hundreds of years, this thing's been going on, and over the last 10 years or more, it's really flourished again with the likes of ICW, with the likes of Progress. There was this bubbling here. I mean, look, in years gone by, you'd hear sort of wrestlers who are cutting their teeth going to places like Japan and so forth. England, the UK was becoming that place. People were coming here to cut their teeth, to build their name. And that's why WWE came here and set up this brand, because we had something special. And the great thing about WWE, they weren't like, you guys have got to change, you've got to be like Raw, like SmackDown. All they've done is they've come in and they've taken this talent and they've given them a platform, an incredible platform. And you talk about the show, and look, anyone who's read any wrestling press in the last 6 months will have read about NXT UK, the matches we've had. Walter versus Dragunov came very close. I can tell you now, 3%. It was 3% away from winning the NXT match of the year last year. It's those kind of matches. It's those kind of matches that are really highlighting this brand and the talent that's over here. So look, WWE, kudos to them. They come over here and they've just helped nurture these guys and girls and made them superstars.
You mentioned Walter versus Dragunov, and that was a match that, and I remember this episode because, again, here in Los Angeles, the show airs like at noon on a Thursday.
Could you hear the chops from the UK?
Yeah, I felt the chops. What I'm saying, Jack and I had to take a break. We're like, we can't go live. This is like, is this how childbirth feels like? I had no idea. But you were in the booth, like watching. Like, how do you know when to add, when to subtract, when to say nothing, when to say like that has to be a crazy like song and dance there.
It is. I'm pretty new to commentary on the grand scheme of things. Anyone who's followed the brand will know that, I started off as the ring announcer. My background is as an anchor of sports shows. So the commentary was a new experience to me. It's something I'm really enjoying and growing within. But that match was an honor. For someone like me at this point in my career to be doing a match like that was an honor. And sometimes it's a learning process. You just got to let, if you can't add anything to that moment, don't say anything. And with so many of Walter's matches and Dragunov's matches, they're so physical, they're so intense that sometimes the best way to experience them is just to hear those slaps, man. What can we add to those? You can't.
Right.
Yeah,
that quick. Dylan Matthews says, I felt the chops here from Australia.
Yeah. I think someone on the moon could hear
them. I'll tell you, I have my favorites going into, shows and watching these things, but I don't know how anyone could watch that Dragunov versus Walter match and not just have a ton of respect and love for both of them going forward. I feel like they're two of my favorites now just because of how great that was. But I do want to kind of piggyback on something you said a second ago, that you're newer to commentary. I'm very curious, like, how did that transition look to you? I think sometimes us watching, we just assume like, oh, you were doing some announcing and they said, hey, why don't you do this? Was it as simple as that? Or were you like, hey, maybe I should try this? How did that look for you making that transition?
It was a process. I mean, so as I just said, my background is anchoring TV shows. Before WWE, I'd never ring announced anything. That was something I hadn't done. A little part of history, before that first United Kingdom Championship tournament, I was talking to WWE, discussing a few things, and Michael Cole said to me, hey, you ever done any ring announcing? And in all in show business, you learn to say yes to most things. in my head, I've hosted boxing events. I've been inside the ring. I'd had a microphone. I'd talked to someone. That's kind of ring announcing. So I just said yes. So that's how I found myself doing the ring announcing. And as the process went on, look, ring announcing is an incredible job. Anyone and you don't get a real sense of what that job is when you see it on TV. It's only when you come to a live event and you see what happens. And for me to have that role, to not only announce incredible matches, but to share the experience of the NXT UK universe, to be there, to communicate with them between the matches. Honestly, we have so much fun. And that's something that I'm missing right now without a crowd, is that interaction with the audience, as I'm sure all the superstars are. But when it came to commentary, the more I learned the business, I saw that commentary was a real hybrid of my background, which is broadcasting, and this crazy WWE world we're in. And it's a way that you, as an announcer, can really have impact on the product and help tell those stories. So that's why it's something that really attracted me. And once I got into the world of WWE, it was something I was trying. I was working with Tom Phillips, Vic Joseph, John Quasto, Michael Cole. They were giving me pointers and stuff like that, and it got to a point where they're like, "You're not horrific. Let's
you kind of got it." No,
let's see if we could do something with this. And again, I can only thank again, Michael Cole and particularly guys like Tom Phillips and Vic Joseph and John Quasto who worked with me tirelessly to try and polish me up to get me on air. So it was a process, but there's a lot of help and coaching ahead.
It's funny you mentioned John Quasto. He and I worked together at back then it was called Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, NWA, back in 2010. And Jack is currently working with United Wrestling Network's Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, the modern version. It's kind of a small world.
On that, Jack. Congrats on that, Jack.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got to meet Quasto just recently, and he's a fantastic guy.
What a guy. What a guy. John Quasto is a truly, truly amazing human being. So much time for him.
Yeah, if you thought that Jack's suits were fancy before, you should wait.
Oh, wow.
He was on cable now. I mean, come on. So one of the cool things about being a ring announcer and being a commentator is that you kind of do transition to all the things in wrestling. I know on some local levels you set up the ring and do X, Y, and Z, but you're able to switch between different aspects of the production. But is there something left? Is there something you want to do? Do you want to get in the ring? Do you want to manage? Do you want to have your own promotion? What does Andy Shepard want to do in the business?
I mean, I don't know. Like I'll be honest with you. So when I was a kid, I wanted to be a superstar. I wanted to be a wrestler. I think anyone who's a fan, especially when you're a kid, you're like, this is what I want to do. I went to track and field, went down that avenue, and then got into. I'm a producer and a director as well, so I ended up walking down that avenue. But it got to a point where where I lived in London, there was a training school nearby, so I did actually go and do like a 2-month training course at the Progress Wrestling School, and it was before I worked in wrestling. The only reason I stopped doing it was because I started hosting a lot of MMA events, which were on weekends and they clash with the training. But I graduated from that class. There's a wrestler called Candy Floss. She was actually in class as me. Ginny started around the same time as me as well. So, hey, look, if I hadn't hosted, who knows? Maybe I would have continued. But I don't know if I'd have made it as a WWE superstar.
Dylan Matthews says, I can bet Andy can cut a good heel promo. I can see a manager. Ooh, a heel, I see.
Really? You think about it? Have I got a bad bone in my body?
Jack, what do you think? Because you're a fan of Eddie Dennis. You love heels. Do you think Andy Shepard can be a good heel promo?
I think that, Andy, you're a lovable guy. I don't know if I could find myself not being happy with you around. But that said, I'm a big Eddie Dennis fan. I like the way he's got the hunt focused, got them working towards the goals. I think they're good people. I think he's doing a great job there.
See what I deal with? You see what I deal with every week?
Just to pick up on Eddie Dennis, me and Eddie have got history. Anyone who watched the first NXT UK takeover, it's on the WWE network. Go and check it out. We'll see that Eddie ejected me from my chair. So there's some history there. So not on my side. I just don't think Eddie likes me. I'm completely honest. But I mean, I don't approve of how he's going about things. I don't like what he's done to Flash and Mark. I don't like any of those things. But what I do like about Eddie is, this focus he's got. I don't know where this is going to head, but Eddie Dennis is one of the cleverest people, legitimately, that I know. So if he wants to do something, he wants to achieve something, the sky's the limit for that guy.
So that actually kind of brings up a great point. As you're doing commentary, I know that you're a fan of wrestling as well. You got to be fans of some of the people who are out there in the ring, and you got to be less of a fan of some of the others. How do you balance your own personal takes on people while giving out the information and talking about the match at commentary? Is it something you have to kind of bottle up? Is it something that you say, hey, look, if I like someone, I'm going to let the world know? How do you manage your personal feeling towards people?
My as a play-by-play commentator, my job is to be down the middle, shall we say. There's guys who are playing by the rules. There are guys who are not playing by the rules. So you have your opinions on those guys. But, it's part of the job, and it's even as an anchor, you kind of got to be that way as well, haven't you? So it's something that's kind of been grinded into me. But I think I respect all these superstars so much, and I think for me, having been with this brand since inception, I've known these guys for so long now, and I've seen how hungry they all are. Every superstar that comes on and joins this roster is the same, and I think that's one of the things that's making this brand so successful is that top to tail, everyone in NXT UK wants it so badly. They know what an opportunity, what a platform this is, and the culture, how everyone is backstage, how everyone trains and gets on together and encourages one another. Honestly, it's a remarkable place to be able to call home.
That's fantastic. But I have a question about NXT UK commentary about a couple of weeks ago, because this still bothers me. I lose sleep over this, Andy. I need some kind of clarity here.
Let's make you sleep okay tonight. Let's try and sort this thing out.
So there was an individual where I can't even discuss his name anymore, and I'll tell you why in a second. Has a match, and in the middle of the match goes, "Call me Shaw Samuels." Has it ever happened before where someone changed their name mid-match? I need help.
Okay, so sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes people call what they call an audible. Supposed people make a decision for themselves, and when it's on camera, when it's being beamed out to the world, what else are you supposed to do? Anyone who knows, anyone who follows British wrestling, Shaw Samuels is a big name.
Yes.
Shaw Samuels has been around for 18 plus years. No one who follows, sports entertainment over here or in the world doesn't know who Shaw Samuels is. So it's tricky, isn't it? If you were to come into a brand like WWE and someone goes, right now, I know you've got 18 years of this built up. I know that everyone knows who you are, but we're going to call you Ed Harvey. Where's that come from? So as much as, again, I've got to call it down the middle, and I've got to respect who makes those great decisions. But
right.
let's be honest, if you're Shaw Samuels, you're going to be a bit like, what's going on here?
Right.
So
wasn't it cool? Did he walk through the curtain?
Sometimes you got to roll with it.
Did he walk through the curtain like, yo, today's the day? Y'all gonna know my name. Like, how did that?
He's like, legitimately, he's worked so hard to get here. For anyone who starts this business, let's be completely blunt. WWE is always the dream. So to finally get there, but then to have your past almost erased.
Yeah.
The guy is. Anyone who's seen his matches will know he's not afraid to speak his mind. Sure. He's not a shrinking violet. So especially when the match isn't quite going your way, you got Joe Coffey beating you down on your debut at WWE. You're gonna get a bit riled up. The man called an audible. I don't know what to say.
Well, you put it that way, I can go to sleep soundly now tonight.
Good, yes, yes. Got you to sleep tonight.
That makes me like him even more, though, because it is like he obviously is already a tough guy, and he's in a match with a guy like Joe Coffey. I would be terrified. I'd forget what my real name really was anyways if I was in a match with Joe Coffey. So to remember that and to say, no, I don't care what everyone says you're supposed to call me. This is my name. I like it. I think that's cool. I actually like him even more now that I know that part of the story and everything that goes with it.
What might have actually happened, Jack, is the fact that because he's been called Shaw Samuels for so long, that's his name, he actually probably forgot his other name. He probably forgot Ed Harvey in the whole panic of the match. That's probably what happened. Like, I don't even know what my name's supposed to be. I had it for 10 minutes. So, Shaw Samuels.
Wow.
Hey, if I was stuck in a ring with a guy like Joe Coffey, my brain would be all over the place also. So I have no idea. The fact that he made it down the ring means he got way farther than I would have gotten. He'd have just gotten a note saying I tapped out in the back.
Before the match?
Before the match even happened. I'm a little self-centered, Andy. I like to think about myself. I like to talk about who I am.
You and me both. Come on.
So I want to ask, we do this show, we talk about NXT UK, we talk about wrestling, and we're not the only show in the world that does things like talking about pro wrestling after it happens.
You're not?
No, there's actually
there's like two of them, I think.
Two or three of them that where people go and they talk about pro wrestling. My question to you is, what are some of the things we get wrong on this show these types of shows?
It's only an hour show,
you
Jack.
Watch them and you're like, why do people always say this? They're always wrong. What are we getting wrong all the time?
No, I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, and that's the great thing about the wrestling community. Like I'm privileged to work in a number of sports, and a lot of different combat sports. And I can truly say that the pro wrestling or the sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, community is so passionate and so bonding together. It's great. There's so much dialogue back and forth, and I think one of the reasons there are so many shows, let's be honest, if you haven't seen them, there's at least 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think everyone can have their opinions, and it's fine. Everyone's got their favorite superstar. Everyone's got their favorite brand. People might not like something. I think it's, I think that's the cool thing about it. What does make me laugh sometimes is when people come out and they're like, "This is what's happening. This is why this thing's happening," or whatever, trying to connect dots. And when you are privy to the reality of things, you're like, "Oh, no, that's not happening." So it's fun sometimes to see oh, this is going to happen with this wrestler. You're like, oh, okay. Those are always interesting things to see. But again, I think there's a reason there's so many shows is because people love them. People would love to hear other people's opinions, love to get involved in conversations. So I don't think anyone gets anything wrong, because how can you get something wrong when it's your passion and it's it's expressing your opinion on something?
Absolutely. I was trying to wait to see if you said we were the best of the 2 or 3 shows, but he didn't go that far. Very diplomatic answer. You're
100% the best. I mean, of the 3 shows I've seen, you're 100%. Honestly, the setup you guys have got here is so professional.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
This ain't no Zoom call, guys. This ain't no Zoom call.
That's right.
I assume the other shows you saw were backstage, talking smack.
And after the bell with Corey Graves.
And after,
and now Big Joseph's come on board. So those are the shows I'm aware of. I don't know if there's any more. DM me. People.
Exactly. That's it. That's our show and the rest.
I think of those ones, yours is the best.
I'll take it. But speaking of shows I think are one of the best podcasts, I actually had a moment to listen to your podcast, people I want to be friends with. Now, the roster has been pretty cool because they're friends from work, it seems. But what was the idea of launching this podcast? Just to, I guess, show another side of you, just to hang out with your boys, or something else?
It's something I had in mind for a while. I think the great thing about podcasts is, what I love in a podcast is conversation. I listen, honestly, I've got my AirPods in almost the entire time I'm going for a walk, if I'm in the gym or whatever, and I'm always listening to podcasts. And I love those kind of conversations. And I think the great thing about podcasts are it's a platform where you can get in touch with someone who you may or may not know and go, "Hey, I've got this thing I do. Do you want to have a conversation on it?" And so I think that's why I call it people I want to be friends with. It's literally me talking to people that, some of them are my friends, unfortunately, but others are just like people I respect, I admire, and I want to kind of get an insight into how their minds work. Everyone who's been on that podcast is someone who I think has achieved something great. And by great, I don't mean some of them are millionaires, some of them aren't. Some of them have achieved great success in business, others have achieved great success in their personal life, in their attitudes to things. So there's something about them that I want to learn about. And that, for me, is why I've done that podcast, because I want to learn things. For me, that's what life is about. It's about meeting people, learning from them, and surrounding yourself. The name is based on the saying that, I think I've got the number now, but it's, the 7 people you spend your most time with, or 12 people you spend your most time with, that's who you become. So it's trying to surround yourself with a circle of people who are going to help you become the best version of you.
Yeah. Are there anyone on your future what to have lists you want to share? Or?
I'd love to do more of the superstars. Whenever people tweet me about it, they want to hear me talk to more of the superstars, and that's something I want to drill down to. A lot of athletes I have a lot of respect for, but more and more sort of business people as well. I really respect people. Whenever I meet someone who's started their own thing, done their own hustle, started their own business, whatever that might be, I have a real utmost respect for them, because a lot of people sometimes want to do those things, but it's fear. We all have this fear of failure before you've even started something. So just to take that step forward and go, I'm going to do this, and whether it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out, you've learned so many incredible lessons, and you've got over that fear. You can now go and do something else. So I really respect people who sort of pass by that initial fear and strive for something. So those are the kind of people I think I'm going to get on in the future, as well as, of course, WWE superstars.
Awesome.
For sure. Yeah. So how do you balance? I love all that. I love that you creating these conversations and getting people that are doing things. And what's so great about nowadays is that it is so accessible for people to create shows like this. How do you balance your time between obviously your obligations with the WWE, obviously all your other obligations with other sports, and your own thing? Is it something that you just, I guess you're a producer, so you probably have calendars everywhere and timesheets everywhere, but how do you balance all that?
It's like, I'm very fortunate that and this is going to sound cheesy, but I'm very fortunate to do things that I really enjoy. So it's, it's not like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh man, I got to go and call some NXT UK today. So I think it's a privilege, and what I'm very aware of, that I can do things that I enjoy. So when it comes to juggling time, you just kind of get it done. You sleep, however many hours you sleep at night, whether it's 6, 8, 9, whatever, then you've got the rest of the hours in the day to make stuff work. If I'm prepping for NXT UK, I mean, man, I'm watching wrestling. I'm making notes on wrestlers. Like, my partner will catch me like watching matches. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm working."
Can't you see? His name is Shaw Samuel. Taking notes.
Yeah. Or if I'm doing a podcast, it's a conversation I enjoy. Or if I'm producing or directing a TV show, you're creating something, which in itself is fantastic to do. So, look, at times, it can be a challenge to juggle things, but you just kind of got to make things work, because when you're in a position to do things that you enjoy, man, you just make it happen.
Yeah, just a quick, can you give me Ashton Smith's autograph? I'm kidding. No, my next question is...
I can give you anything you want from Ashton Smith. Honestly, that guy, if you want his... I think he's got a pair of tights that Oliver Carter's mum made him, which are 3 sizes too big. So.
Yes, I'm going to start my own promotion.
Yeah.
So as someone who's dabbling in the hosting thing, as for a quick hosting thing, you're doing esports. I'm starting esports my career as well. I do Rocket League. That's kind of the game I commentate. Love it. It's footy with cars. Just any kind of like tips or tricks or just kind of advice, because I know it's kind of an emerging thing for hosts. Like,
man, esports is amazing. So I've hosted some esports stuff, but also over the last few years, a substantial amount of my producing and directing has been in content around esports. It's such a market that people want content around. I think the main thing with the whole gaming community, it's that authenticity. It's being part of that community. Some people have tried to get into it and they're just trying to ride a wave. So it's great that you're picking games and platforms that you like. I think it's key to really be part of that community, because that's what esports is. It's a community. Each game has its community, So I think anyone who's trying to get into that is to sink your teeth into it. Someone I have a lot of respect for is Alex Golden Boy Mendez.
Yes, Golden Boy.
Golden Boy's amazing. I've been privileged to work with him. Greg Miller Greg Miller, honestly, he should be more mainstream. He's doing super well in the world of gaming, but my word, I've had the privilege to work with him as a producer on a bunch of shows, and that guy's something special. Him and Alex Mendez, really a great team. But those guys, if you look those guys up, they're really embedded in that community, and I think to be a success in esports, it's becoming part of that community, and then building from there.
I'm inspired as hell, man. Jack, one more question for Andy Shepard before I let him go.
Yeah, I guess my final question would be that you have been able to do a lot of different things. You've been involved with a lot of different things, and maybe this is piggybacking off of what you just said to Flobo, but if you're someone who's in the chat, you're listening to this, and you have aspirations of doing something, how do you recommend people get started? If someone says, one day I want to be a commentator for the WWE, or one day I want to host an esports show, what would you say to them as far as like step one?
Step one is realize that sometimes things can happen overnight. You might just do one thing and you'll get that job that you want. But the reality is a lot of time, man, it's a hustle. And, it's taken me a long time to, and I'm still, there's a lot more I want to accomplish. This is just sort of the beginning for myself. It's taken me a long time to get to this point. It's realizing you need a thick skin, and that rejection's a part of it. You're not going to win everything. You're not going to get hired for every job you go for, and that's fine. I know we're probably running out of time a bit here, but when I was sort of starting out behind the camera, I worked in casting and I worked on a number of movies and commercials, and I'd see actors come in, and there were actors I'd seen on TV. Like I was like, these are famous people, and I just imagined that they were just given parts, that they were sent scripts and that's it. They got it. But they'd come in, they'd audition, and I'd hear the conversations from the directors and the producers about them and why they weren't going to get the part. And a lot of it comes down to they just weren't right. They weren't the vision that someone had. Like that actor was an amazing actor, but they just weren't the fit for that character. And I think if you're going to be a host or get into this kind of stuff, it's realizing that sometimes you'll go for a role and you won't get it. Don't beat yourself up. You just weren't the vision that other person had. Keep going. And I think it's like any kind of career. Just keep pushing through the rejections. If you want it, keep pushing. That's one, to have that mindset. Number two, we're in a day and age where making content is super simple. All of us, you've got this incredible platform we're using, but essentially we're all using our laptops or our phones or whatever to do this. Making content right now has never been easier. Getting it out there, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all these platforms you can put stuff out there. So if you want to do something, just start doing something around that world. My first show reel I made was me making like a segment for a TV show I liked. I was like, I want to be on that TV show. I'll make a segment for it. Now you can do all those kind of things. So if you want to host esports stuff, jump on Twitch, start commentating, jump on Facebook gaming, YouTube gaming, start doing that stuff. If you want to work in, sport and entertainment, whatever, start working in that stuff, start a podcast, start calling those things, start doing those things. Just start getting your reps up. And it doesn't matter if no one sees it. You are developing yourself. You are developing those skills, which ultimately will come up down the road. And my final tip would be never underestimate the power of relationships. For me, I got a break. I was hosting some stuff, but a big break for me was when I started hosting mixed martial arts. That came from a relationship I started probably 6 months into trying to be a host. I hosted like a ring girl competition for this mixed martial arts company. Bugged them to let me come and host some backstage stuff. I think it was 4 or 5 years later. The guy calls me and says, "Hey, Andy, you around? You want to come and host the actual show this weekend? A live broadcast, my first ever live broadcast." And what I'm saying is it took 4 or 5 years of that relationship kind of bubbling for that opportunity to come. And that one show was really a catalyst for a lot of things that happened, including me getting to WWE. So keep going, get a thick skin. Remember, rejection is fine. It's a beautiful thing because you're learning. Start doing stuff. There's no substitute for practicing whatever skill you want to develop, and build relationships. Those are my tips.
Wow, we got a TED Talk and everything, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna replay that. Yeah, dropping mics. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much,
guys. This is
you.
Great, guys. Before I go, I've watched your show. I think it's amazing. Thank you so much for everything you guys do for NXT UK. You're flying the flag over there stateside. I speak on behalf of myself, but the entire locker room and everyone involved. Thank you guys so much for supporting this brand.
You're going to make me cry,
man. Keep going.
Dylan Matthews says, this has been an incredible chat. Andy Shepard, what a man.
You guys. Thank you. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Come on back. We want you back in a future episode.
Guys, whenever you want me back, I'm here. I've loved this. It's great chatting to you guys. Whenever you need me, give me a holler.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Oh, my gosh. Andy Shepard was on the show.
That was great, man.
Yeah,
that was fun. What a cool guy.
I learned so much about the business. I learned so much about like Audibles. I learned so much about what is going on there. Well, I don't know, man. I feel like, do we even have a show after that?
I mean, yeah. Right now, I am looking through all of Robert Stone's suits and figuring out which one I'm going to get.
Know what? You know dang well you have a guy that somehow lives in your house whose sole purpose is to make you custom suits because those look fly for you alone. I can't pull that look off. You know I can't.
Yeah, I do. His name's Eric.
Yo, help brother out, Eric. What's up?
No, but I mean, what an amazing. I mean, first off, very cool of him to take the time. Very cool of him to come on the show and chat with us and be open with us and honest with us and not only give cool feedback on like what it's like being a part of the team, but to also give that advice. That little clip, I feel like you could clip out and put out there as just a motivational thing to listen to every day.
Yeah, Well, after I do my affirmations and say I'm awesome. Just want to say thanks so much for people in the chat. Jacob, Dylan, Adam, Ghazi, Johan Pena, all across the different platforms we're streaming right now. I just learned so much about the business. I'm kind of still in shock here. Just a little talk about NXT UK, the actual show itself. I thought it was a perfect intro for Andy Shepard because he was telling me behind stage that Jordan Devlin is that guy. And it's cool to see someone as awesome as Andy to look at talent and say, I think this guy can go forward. And I was like, yeah, you and I both agree that Jordan Devlin could be the next big thing.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I was texting you during this show. Jordan Devlin, I think, could be the guy. I think he could be the guy that goes all the way to the Living Suit guys that look, they're pricey, but they're worth it. But Jordan Devlin, I was saying to you today backstage that I think I could see him as a WWE World Champion, whether it be the Universal, the WWE title, whatever the case is. I feel like he has everything. I think he's got everything you're looking for. I think he's believable. I think he sounds great on a microphone. He looks the part. He wrestles well. And I think today with his match against Mastiff, he showed that it doesn't matter if it's 205 or, as he said, 305 or 405. He can hang with the biggest guys out there. I think when you look at the checklist, now there's a lot of ifs between, now and headlining Mania.
If sandwich.
But it is an if sandwich. But I think when you're checking through the boxes, Devlin has everything.
Yeah, you know what? There's no doubt in my mind. And it's funny because had this been 3 months ago, I would say, oh, no, it seems to me that A-Kid's the guy. A-Kid's the guy that can go up to different weight class or whatever. I'm not saying that Devlin did it sneakily. He did come out and he cut all these promos every week. He did it as bold as he can. But putting on the muscle, being able to wrestle in a unique style that's quite different than what he's used to against a Dave Mastiff. A lot of people really underestimate how far Dave Mastiff can go, as they say inside. So I feel this is a perfect primer. Main event, it was a surprise, but the match had an overrun, which shows you that those things, the people behind the show have faith in both Mastiff and Devlin. So it's only a matter of time before both these men head up on top. But the question I have is, with the whole Cruiserweight Championship being split on two different sides of the Atlantic, Jack, who will be the first one to fall?
That is an interesting question. I am going to say, TikTok. By fall, you mean no longer be a Cruiserweight champion?
Correct.
Or do you mean just
Escobar
who's going to take the first loss? Because I think that the first loss is going to happen stateside, but I think the first person to lose the title will be in UK. But I think that losing the title for Jordan Devlin is just going to open up so many more doors for him. I think he's added the weight. And like I said, I think at this point, the fact that he could hang with Mastiff and he could take the beating Mastiff dished out, I don't believe there's anyone in the 205 division that can hit hard enough to take Devlin out anymore. I think he's too tough at this point. And I think that now, I said it, I think he's the guy who's going to take the title from Walter. I think he's the guy that's going to do it. I've got so much time for Devlin.
Devlin versus Walter would slap, quite literally. But we're talking about people who can go toe-to-toe with Devlin. What about the brand new, reinvigorated, extreme Ilya Dragunov? The guy that somehow took Tyson T-Bone to a technical knockout today, even though he was heckled at ringside by your boy Sam Gradwell. He could be someone. He could be another guy we have our eyes on. Why not?
I feel like all three of these guys I like. I like all three of them. That's what's so tricky about watching NXT UK is everyone brings something so great to the matches that it's hard to have your favorites and not just like everybody. But Dragunov, man, the fact that he was able to I think the only one that can hit hard enough to take down Dragunov is Walter. Walter's the only guy that can do that. But I love Gradwell, man. Yeah. I love that he's always poking the bear. I love that he's always causing problems and getting in people's business. They say wrestling is a conflict sport. That doesn't just mean that it's in the ring. I think it's verbally too. And Gradwell, he just likes to conflict with everybody he comes around.
Wait, wrestling's a conflict sport? If it's a conflict, why are we having conflict sightings every month? This is a bad idea.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. I mean, if you think about it, they never go well. Why would you do that anymore? But
Right.
but the fact is, I think Gradwell's so good at just getting under the skin of everybody, even on commentary. You could hear even Nigel is like, dude, this guy's getting on my nerves. He needs to cut it out. I like Gradwell, though. I love those guys that like to stir the pot. I like those guys that like to shake up the bee's nest. I like guys like him because they keep it interesting and they keep us talking. I like Gradwell, but, man, I don't know if anyone can hit hard enough to take out Dragunov.
So we talked about 2-3 months ago, we were worried about, not worried, we're not concerned, but Walter seems to be this guy on top of this mountain, insurmountable. He is the mountain, forget Ramaju. But like, the more we talk about it, there is Dragunov waiting. There is an emerging Devlin, if you want, an A-Kid 2, a Joe Coffey 2 on the horizon. I mean, I know when you're the champ of a brand, there's always a target on your back, but I have not quite seen, almost seemingly in the dark and overnight, so many men who are qualified for a shot at the gold. Jack, let me ask you this, because my pick is Joe Coffey. Who gets the first crack, the next crack at the Ring General? Walter.
Well, I would say the next crack has to be Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey, in a world of hard men, he's got to be the hardest. I mean, he can beat people up. He can take a beating. NXT UK has to be the toughest brand around by a mile. Everyone on there is so tough, but I think Joe Coffey might be the toughest of the bunch, and he proved it again tonight. I think that he's got to be the first. I think he's also on a win streak. He's got momentum. He's got everything you want. The only thing that I think would hold him back from being the next to get a shot is he's had a shot already. That said, though, I mean, just because, Tom Brady's had a number of shots at Super Bowl glory, but he's getting another one. So maybe I think he's the guy. I think mathematically looking at it, it's got to be Joe Coffey.
Off topic. Are you rooting for Tom Brady this weekend or the Chiefs?
No
sense at the Bucks. Tom Brady or the Chiefs?
No, that's accurate. And that's true. I'm rooting for Tom Brady. I love greatness. I love seeing greatness. And even though he's won a million of these things, I think it's one of those things, like, it's a sight to behold. It's something that's great to see. I always say, if I had the chance to see Michael Jordan win one more championship, I would love to see it. And this is how I feel about Tom Brady. If I get the chance to see him win another one, that's huge. I want to see it.
It's a weird vibe for me because I'm rooting for the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes because his dad, Pat, played for the Mets. But I'm not a Tom Brady hater, which I feel like I'm by myself in that way. It's like I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but I don't hate if Tom Brady wins, which is, I don't know. Dylan Matthews says, do you think the guys at NXT UK need another mid-card title, maybe the European title comeback? Well, this is a Heritage Cup, but Jack, your thoughts about this? A secondary strap for NXT UK.
By the way, I like Pat Mahomes too. I think they'll be fun. It'll be a really fun Super Bowl. But it's weird with the whole second title thing with a company. I think it adds a lot of opportunity for people, but at the same time, I kind of like how it is if we talk about Walter being the top of the mountain, they are very sharp, steep cliffs to get there. You know what I mean? Like, there is not much space to climb up the top. I like how every single match has to matter because there is no checkpoint on the way to the top of the mountain. There is no rest point on the way to the top of the mountain. If you are Dragunov, you got to beat Tyson. And then, you got to beat Gradwell. And then, you're going to have to beat Joe Coffey because there is nothing to rest on or wait for. Even A-Kid, I like that it was like, cool, you won the Heritage title. Now you got to face Walter. I kind of like that. And so while it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, I kind of like that it's all or nothing in NXT UK.
So Walter's on top of the little chain like Shao Kahn or Goro, like in Mortal Kombat.
He is. He's like a mix of Shang Tsung and Goro together.
I'm going to clip this out and tag him. No, don't do that.
Could you imagine if he had forearms to slap you with?
Oh no! That's capital punishment. 4 slaps from Walter. Before we move on to NXT Classic, any final thoughts about NXT UK this week?
Just another great show. One of these episodes where they continually had people coming out and you'd go, oh, wow, this is a great match. They didn't even advertise this. This is amazing. Yeah. Another great show, another one of these shows. I feel like we say it every week. Do yourself a favor and check out NXT UK. As I said earlier, I was slow to embrace it. I was like, no, I got my own NXT. It's worth watching. It's great. It stands out. And I do want to also say one last thing about Brookside versus Samuels. I think it was just unfortunate that this poor guy who had a dream of working in the wrestling business had to carry some wrestler's luggage because Brookside wouldn't do her job.
Are you kidding me? That's not her job, Jack. I was going to say her job's with matches, but she didn't do that either. Anyway, I'm going to say, you're so mean at Xia Brookside. She's the future of that brand, of that division. Before we get to the matches of NXT USA, because matches are great and the end is great, I want your opinion of what we saw, the short film for Tian Sha, because it definitely went to an animated short, which was definitely something that NXT hasn't done before, I do not think, but very Lucha Underground. And you're a Lucha Underground fan. What's your thoughts about that real quick?
First off, I like what Dylan Matthews said in the chat. You can go ahead and put that up on the screen anytime you'd like.
When I think of Tom Brady, I think of Jack Farmer.
Yeah, go. Thank you, Dylan. You and I, we're on the same
jaws.
page.
That's what I'm thinking.
We're in the same page. But I loved this, Flobo. I thought it was great. I thought it was cool. First off, the animation immediately sucked me in. It was really cool. It was really well done. It was a different approach. It made me really interested in where this is going and what they're talking about. So it seems like this person in the throne has been around for 1,000 years. So it's not Kairi Sane. It's someone else.
Surprise! It's from Japanese, but surprise.
But it's up until this point, they never said it was specifically a Chinese-only group.
The characters behind Tian Sha are Chinese,
No, they explained it today, but before that, they didn't say that.
Technically, you and your asterisks, I swear.
So what I'm saying, though, is that I really enjoyed this. I think the thing that I took from it that really stood out to me is if you paid attention to the story, it was about this girl and her brother and how the girl had to destroy the brother in order to become more powerful. And the whole time I'm listening to this, I'm looking at Xia Li and Boa, and I'm thinking, are they the brother-sister that are going to one day have to destroy each other?
If it is, that'd be the coolest post-fight level of a video game ever, wouldn't it?
I think so. I think that'd be really cool. I'm excited. I'm interested in seeing how this plays out. At the end of the day, it's always about, am I interested in seeing what happens next? I always make the joke about the mechanical spider because I wasn't interested in seeing what was in the cage. So that didn't work. But this is something I want to know what happens next. I want to know what the story is. I want to know how this is going to play out. I'm fascinated. It's great. And it's one of my favorite parts of NXT right now.
What's funny is that 5 years from now, there's going to be someone watching this episode going, mechanical spider wrestling? What does that mean? They're trying to Google it or put it on YouTube. What was that a part of? No, I agree with you. I totally think it's different. I'm on board, and I know to use your analogy. I always like using your analogies without giving you credit. But I bought stock in Xia Li years ago, so I'm just enjoying it like Doge right now. Being like, ha, I told y'all. Hopefully it gets to be something bigger. Maybe she gets some hardware for her career. But
if I can just add on to that real quick, is I did want to say the people who are, the creativity that's behind this is amazing. I'm glad they're letting this creativity show on NXT because it's so easy for people to say they should make, this person should be a star. They should just beat people for 3 months.
Right.
And that's it. And that's the whole thing, where this is very outside of the box. It's very interesting. It's very creative. And it's something that I haven't seen in wrestling since Lucha Underground, to your point. And so I love it. I love that they're at the very least playing with this and trying this. And I hope we get to see more of it because I'm loving it right now.
You talk about long-term storytelling. The tendrils of the storyline happened the end of August with Xia Li's losing streak. So here's a way of having long-term storytelling in a way it doesn't feel drawn out or boring. So that's what I just wanted your opinion about. I called it the left turn into Lucha Underground, but yeah, that's just me. So
did you like it?
I was okay. So if you guys don't know, we have this show, Draped in Gold. We cover NXT and NXT UK, and we also do Elite of the Week, our sister show. We cover Dynamite, and so I watch both shows at once. I have three screens. I have one screen on one show, one screen on the other, and a third screen to live tweet the two shows, or mostly NXT.
Just kind of like the hacker, the SmackDown hacker.
Oh, Wednesday nights are really tough for
screens.
Yeah, it was all me, guys. When that promo came, I muted everything. I closed down Twitter, I muted Dynamite, and I was like, what is this? And I said, that's almost never happened in my time doing these two shows, so it's only good things. We had some matches in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. With the women's side for sure, Dakota Kai or Cal Gonzalez against Caitlin Catanzaro and Kaden Carter. A lot of K's in that. I thought that it could have been the Cinderella team in Carter and Catanzaro, but it wasn't meant to be. Did the right team win here, Jack Farmer?
Yes, without a doubt. Raquel Gonzalez could win this whole thing on her own. I've said that before.
What tag team?
She could be her own team. Dakota Kai, I like Dakota Kai. I'm glad she's there. But if Dakota Kai wanted to, she could just be like, I'm just going to hang out in catering today. I don't want to get my boots
Now,
dirty.
see here now, Jack Farmer. Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter deserves 2 opponents. That's kind of shady to be like, I'm in catering. You got this.
It has nothing to do with them. I mean, it could be any other 2 people on the other side of the ring, and Raquel Gonzalez could make her way to the end of this thing. So, yes, the right team won. But I think to your point, if I'm Caden and Casey, they should be looking at each other going, what are we doing? Like, if we're the one legit tag team in the women's division of NXT, and we didn't win the tag team tournament, we didn't even make it to the finals of the tag team tournament, I think they need to have a real heart-to-heart talk about what their next steps are and what they're going to do to move on in their careers. Because if they can't get their act together as a tag team when they're the only real tag team, then I think there's a problem. I would say maybe go to the Raw or SmackDown where they could go after the women's titles. But if you can't win here, what makes you think you're going to win there?
Watch Alexander Wolf appears on top of the ramp there too, just upset. Come with me.
Just whenever someone loses, he just shows up at the top, and everyone's like, "What are you doing here?"
Can't believe they lost. Okay, so they're not going on. I thought it was very much a star-making performance from Kaden Carter. She handled a lot of the damage taken, even though Casey Catanzaro had that disgusting slam from Raquel Gonzalez. I enjoyed it. Nice opening to the show this week. I think it was pretty awesome. But on the other side, the men's side, we had Lucha House Party against Legado del Fantasma. I think the right guys won here. But MSK comes out, and they cut a promo that was really entertaining. I'm finally getting what MSK is, which I'll be honest with you, I know they are an Impact, but I always slice off someone's career when they come to the WWE system because I want to know what the WWE is going to do, much to Andy's point earlier about Shaw Samuels. Thoughts about the match? Well, Legado del Fantasma is moving on. MSK is in their sights. How did it work for you?
Real quick shout out to Lucha House Party. People talk about underappreciated or underused. They're such a good team. They're so exciting. They do such good work. So bummed out that they didn't make it forward, but I think Legado del Fantasma is the team. I love them. I love this group. I love everything about them. Santos Escobar is probably my favorite guy in NXT right now. And I'm glad that they won. I think next week we're going to have a banger of a match with MSK versus Legado del Fantasma, but I agree with you. I thought that MSK had a great promo. I thought they came off as the obnoxious kind of guys that I think they're supposed to be. Still don't know what MSK stands for, but I think they're going to have match of the night next week.
It's going to be an initial that's going to change, and then we're not going to think about it. Like, what did JTG stand for? It used to be Just Too Gangsta, then it was Just Too Good, and now it was like JTG. No one really cared.
Like FTR.
What does Fear the Revolt, right? Revolution?
No,
Revelation?
they kind of throw in whatever they want.
Okay, dope. Our main event was actually in the Dusty Road Classic Cup, the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, which just sounds so weird to put together. Where's Bobby Fish, y'all? For other reason, takes on Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. Now, before I get to your thoughts about the match, everyone knows this. I try to be as positive as I can, but I didn't quite understand Thatcher or Ciampa going into this, and I thought about this. Shower thoughts. Here's my theory. Let me know if you rock with this as to why this is not clicking for me. These two guys are bruisers, Ciampa and Thatcher, and they should work together. In fact, I love NXT UK for that reason alone. I love bruisers. Only Lorcan. I'm a bruiser guy. But it's, on one hand, you have Timothy Thatcher, who had Thatcher's Thatch Can, who got basically outsmarted by Austin Gray, who disappeared, and Tommaso Ciampa, who came back and got tapped out by Thatcher, and they're together. In some way, they're kind of losers in that way, but they're working together in a match that had me rooting for Undisputed Era, which is something I almost never do. Jack, am I weird with this assessment? What's going on in my brain right now?
I thought you were a big Undisputed Era fan.
I am. That's the point of this.
We're trying to make it. Sorry.
Thanks.
It's walking all over it.
Read the intro book.
No, it's interesting. It's fascinating because I felt like Ciampa was out of sorts for the past few months, and for some reason, it wasn't clicking for me. I've been a fan of his for a long time. I like what he brings to the table. Him wrestling Adam Cole and Roderick Strong felt like old Tommaso Ciampa, like the one that I liked, the one that was really great. I don't know, and that made me start to wonder, well, why is it I think he's great when he's wrestling Cole and Roderick Strong, but not when Thatcher is wrestling? I like Thatcher. I feel like, again, in a lot of ways, he's one of those guys. I agree. I like the bruisers. I like the guys that are just gritty, tough guys that like to work people over. Yeah. But for some reason, it feels like it's just not connecting with Thatcher here in this situation. I don't know if it's maybe he would just be a better fit on Raw or SmackDown. I don't know. And this is the personal thing, obviously. But for some reason, like I said, he has everything I want. Right. But for some reason, it's just like it's not clicking for me. They did get a big win over Undisputed Era, who I think a lot of people thought were the favorites in this situation. And I do think if you're Adam Cole, you got to be looking around going, Kyle O'Reilly, you're kind of taking the reins and everything's falling apart. What's going on? But
he loses the match. Kyle,
I mean, if I ever lose a match, I'm immediately going to look to my partners and say, what did you guys do wrong?
You're a natural heel, bro. You're the worst heel ever.
I do that with you. That was a bad show, Flobo.
I'm sorry. I read the nature book.
I like him. I guess long story short, I like him. I just, for some reason, it doesn't feel like it's connecting for me.
Right. But next week, though, you got Ciampa and Thatcher against GYV, which we said last week should be heavy favorites to win it all. We're going to have a lot of hard-hitting matchups next week. But to me, it feels that GYV is more cohesive in more ways than one.
Yeah, I think GYV is still the favorites. I think they've got everything you want. I think this will be an amazing match next week as well. That's what I love about tournaments is the matches just get better as you move forward. I think right now the teamwork of Grizzled Young Veterans is going to outperform any individual strengths that they have with Thatcher and Ciampa. And it wouldn't surprise me if Thatcher and Ciampa maybe didn't leave next week as the best of friends.
Well, finally, I think they're better. Not so much fighting each other, but just very separate. Like you're either a smoke guy, a Cyrex guy, or a sector guy. That's my second MLK reference this episode. But I don't want them together. Just your quick thoughts about Edge being on the show. He was advertised to be in the matchup. Originally supposed to be scheduled with Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor against Edge and help me out here. I'm drawing a blank. But
Edge and Pete Dunne and Finn Balor. What are you talking about?
Sorry, I was off. I was off of my thing. But Edge was advertised for a match that was pulled. He had a promo. It looks like that he was saying, "Hey, look, I am around these brands, and I'm looking at who I can challenge for the championship." You know my feelings about Edge, but prospects of Edge actually challenging for the NXT championship, on board, off board, or somewhere between.
I think that this was first off, I got to say, I like Edge. I'm a fan of Edge. And I knew he was going to be on NXT. And when Finn Balor was out there with Pete Dunne, I was thinking to myself, this seems like a time Edge would show up. When his music hit, even though in my mind I felt like it all made sense he was supposed to be there, I popped. I was like, I see clearly. I feel like I can't not sing with the song, Flobo.
For sure.
No matter how much I try,
the song is catchy.
I can't not sing with it.
It's a good song.
I feel like against my will, it happens. But I loved it. I thought it was great. I loved his interaction with Karrion Kross later in the night. We didn't get a match from him. I think that's totally okay because I think that he made everyone else seem like bona fide stars interacting with each and every one of them. I thought it was amazing. I'd like to see him have those matches. I think if he's using it as his Royal Rumble cash-in, I would much rather see him challenge the Tribal Chief personally. Ooh. But all that to say, even if this was his last trip to NXT, I think everyone came out looking better for it. I think it was great that he showed up. I think he deserves a tip of the cap for doing that. And maybe we'll see more of him there. But I'd like to see him challenge Roman Reigns, if I'm being completely transparent.
Acknowledge me.
Okay.
Hi. Before we get out of here, I have one more question for you. This is from Dylan Matthews. He says, can you talk about Karrion Kross about to win the Cruiserweight title at 265 pounds? His catch to have Dave Mastiff disease, bro. It's been going around. Jack, thoughts about this? Karrion Kross in Legado de Fantasma. I'm thinking merger. Dylan's thinking a fight. TikTok. What do you think?
You think Karrion Kross is going to join Legado?
I think Karrion Kross will absolutely destroy that faction and be the cause of the destruction of the faction. So I guess demolition more than merger?
Oh, no way. I'm a huge fan of that group. They better not break up. They better not get destroyed. I think that this will be a step along the way for Karrion Kross, unfortunately, because I like Santos Escobar. He's my favorite guy in NXT right now. I don't think he's going to fight for the title, though. That'd be hilarious if it was for the title. But I think Karrion Kross needs to pick on people his own size. You know what I'm saying?
I can just see Karrion Kross backstage, like watching the show, and his phone goes, "He's right."
He's right.
Oh,
I really should be the bigger man.
We gotta get out of here. It's now time for that segment here. The MVP of NXT, Jack Farmer. Who won this week for you, man?
Andy Shepard. Andy Shepard. He came on the show. He made it great. It was so great having him with a bullet. Andy Shepard.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. Cross off my choice. Yeah, no doubt in my mind, Andy Shepard, man. I'm so glad he was able to walk through. And then I guess I learned so much about the motivation. Now I'm going to go back and watch that. I might do something big now. I'm like, Andy inspired me, officer. All right, so we gotta go because in less than an hour, we'll be doing the Everything Tournament over on the Evan Matt channel. That's twitch.tv/CocoCena. But, Jack Farmer, where can the world find you online?
You can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. You can also check me out doing Elite of the Week. Every Wednesday, we power rank the AEW wrestlers. You can also check me out on the Everything Tournament going on right after the show where we talk about the biggest badasses in history for this variation. But you can also check me out, one of my favorite things going right now, on the United Wrestling Network's Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on KDOC or Fight TV, depending where you're at. I'm the new host. I'm introducing the show to everyone. We have some amazing matches. This last week, we had Nick Aldis defend the NWA World's Championship against the Miracle Mike Bennett, as well as a whole lot of other stuff. It's for free on Fight TV, presented by CarShield.
That was Nick Aldis and 9.9 pounds of gold? No, I'm just kidding. I gotta go. Flobito, you can follow me at flobito.com where you can book me live to be an MC or host of your event. Or if you want to learn more about the shows I'm a part of, newamsterdam.com. That's KAW Amsterdam.com. But until next time, Jack Farmer, say the words.
Do your best and be yourself.